Hello traders, Heikin Ashi trader here. In today's video I would like to talk about books that influenced me. I would like to talk about 3 books, the 3 most important books I found out that were important to me as a trader. So books I really studied and read several times and got a lot of information for my trading career. So let's start with the first book, and I have to take some glasses because my eyes are not that good anymore. And this is this book. This is the German version of the book, but it's a book that was published originally in English, and the author is Van Tarp. Van Tarp, and the title in English is Trade Your Way to Financial Freedom. So it's a very famous book, actually. Trade Your Way to Financial Freedom. So what is this book about? Well, yes, it's a lot about money management, risk management, and but the most important thing to learn in this book, in my view, is to understand what a trading system really is. To really understand a trading system, and to learn to understand what is a good trading system and what is not such a good trading system. And you can make exercises, and you see it here. I made a lot of exercises with all kinds of systems here many years ago, and it's really interesting to do, and I would really advise you to do those exercises, because it teaches you really to understand deeply, not only from a mathematical standpoint, but also really to deeply understand what is really a robust and a good trading system and which is not a good trading system. So for me, as a trader, really an important book. And you don't need advanced knowledge in mathematics. It's simple math. You can the examples are clear, and you can do it for your own trading system. So, but I really recommend this book by Van Tarp. So, trade your way to financial freedom. First book. Second one. I'm quite sorry, I also bought this book in the German version, but I will immediately tell you which was the original title in English. This is a book by the author Gerald M. Loeb, and the title is The Battle for Investment Survival. It's a bit strange title, The Battle for Investment Survival. Okay. So this book was published in 1965, right? So this book is almost 60 years old, or 60 years on the market, and it's really an amazing book, because it's a book that not many people have read. If I talk with traders, do you know this book, The Battle for Investment Survival? Most traders would say no, never, never heard about this book. But it's for me, it was really an important book, and I will only mention one story that the author is telling here in this book. One day his brother asked him to introduce him in the stock market. So his brother had no experience, no experience at all, never made a trade in his life, and he was introducing his brother into the stock market and trading. And he prepared an account for him with, I think it was $10,000, well, which was at the time, 1965, quite a lot of money. And his brother, he said, you can trade whatever you want, each stock, because at that time you were trading mostly stocks. There were commodity futures, but you were mostly trading stocks at that moment. And he'd said to his brother, on one condition, you're only allowed to trade one stock at a time. Okay, so he was only allowed to buy one stock. That means he could buy 100 or 200 stocks of this one particular stock, but he was not allowed to trade in another stock. So he had to close this position first before he was able to buy another stock. So this is a very good lesson. So he had really to take care and to buy the very best stock at that moment. And if you know that this is your condition, and this is a totally different approach than buying a whole stock portfolio, which most investors do, right? So according to Gerald Loeb, this is not a way to make money on the stock market, to buy a whole portfolio with tens and 20, 30, 40, 50 different kind of stocks. So you're basically buying the market. So according to this author, it's much more clever to buy just one stock and the best stock. And then the second lesson in this story was, when you find a winner, when you have a winner, suppose you have a winner, then it's very important to learn to capitalize on this winner. So to buy more of this one particular stock. Not to buy another stock, but to get more engaged in this winner. Yeah. So for me, this was really quite an important lesson, and I learned a lot from this book. So The Battle for Investment Survival. Third book. Okay, I think most of you will know this book. It's a very famous book, and it is the book for each traders, The Market Wizards. And we have to be thankful to Jack Schwager, who was the author of this. Well, it's a series. He made a couple of those trading interviews, so interviews with traders. And he's going quite deep into the matter, deep into specific strategies of each trader. I just take one, because you cannot talk about all those strategies, which is quite interesting, because if you read this book, you will discover strategies you never thought they were possible. So I learned things out of these books, incredibly things, really interesting. And just one example, for me as a scalper, of course, I was looking for scalpers, and there's one particular interview with Tom Baldwin, and it's quite interesting to read this interview with Tom Baldwin, because the way Tom Baldwin gives his answers to Jack Schwager is really interesting, because Tom Baldwin is not speaking much. For instance, question, basically then you're still using the same basic trading style you started out with. Answer, right. Is the fact that you started off with a chart influence trading bias a key element behind your winning? Answer, yes. Were there periods when you were unsuccessful, or did you remain consistent? Answer, consistent. Didn't you have any losing months? Yes, I had one or two. But not two together. No, never. And it goes on and on with this short Zen-like answers of Tom Baldwin. I really enjoyed reading this interview. I might have read it 10 times, I think. So The Market Wizards is really basic reading stuff for each trader. I think each trader should read those books, those series, and especially this one, the first one, Interviews with Top Traders. And there's so much information in this book about trading and about the stock market. You really want to know this. So those are my 3 recommendations. 3 books that were really important for me as a trader. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time. Bye.